Morning.
Morning.
So last week the spirit reading went really well.
I thought it went really well.
Yeah.
We had a few little arguments about, can I be in a bigger group than what needed to be? Besides that, we got that handled and everything went real smooth.
That's good. That's good. I got your text, Lisa. Thanks for sharing that. That's great. And was there any student that didn't find the spirit?
No.
No, even Miguel, our EL. Oh, I shouldn't say that out loud. Even our
That's
ELL.
right. I can edit
Even
it.
our ELL student, he did fine. I did work with his group because they were a little confused, and then I knew with his language barrier, they would need me in there to kind of explain it. So,
Right.
but I just stayed with them kind of the whole time.
Got it.
I left for a little bit, but I have one girl in there who's pretty strong, and she can guide them too. So we kind of have working with the ELL student. So.
Perfect. Have you thought about with this class, is it possible to get a peer mentor in the class from another class that's like in study hall that would like to get some leadership credit or something?
I haven't thought of that.
No, I haven't thought about that.
Maybe it might be good to have that student join that group as a group member. So it looks more natural, but would actually give you a little more one-on-one support for some students. I mean, it's just food for thought.
That's a good idea. Because we used to have somebody who was on the payroll who did the support for ELL, and so her position was cut. So.
Yeah, so that might be a way to get, because it sounds like that's a targeted student. And then Jen was going to give you a couple of other ideas that she had related to that particular student.
Yeah, so you said that the student's been in the United States for about 3 years.
Right.
Right. What is his original language? Is it Spanish?
I think Spanish. Uh-huh.
Do you have any students who actually who speak Spanish, who could, again, like a peer mentor in another class or anything like that that might be able to help him out?
We'll have to talk to the Spanish teacher.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to talk to the Spanish teacher
That might
and
not
see
be a
if.
bad idea. The other thing is to, if you can, whatever you can find out about him, about what his education was like before he came to your school, if he actually is fluent in Spanish, if he can read and write in Spanish. I think it's really important to know some of those things because it will help him in his acquisition of the English language if he's able to do some of those things in Spanish as well. So just
Okay, that's
maybe think about.
Right.
The other thing is, have you used any technology like, of course, like a Learning Ally or anything like that, where the text is read to a student via like a iPod or an iPad or anything like that?
We haven't this year.
No.
I don't know if he has in the past. I can't remember.
So those things might be helpful not only for him, but also for maybe some of your students with disabilities to be able to kind of listen to the text the day before. And that way when they come into class, they're able to, that might help with the spirit reading. They can be reading along. The Learning Ally program actually allows you to read along with it. So it highlights the words and everything. So it's a really great program. You may want to check into it because a lot of states get it for free. So you may want to check into something like that.
I'll write it down. Learning Ally.
Yeah. And then if you have any iPads, the accessibility feature can turn on and automatically read to him. And there's a program for $20 called Read to Go that actually will highlight the text on the iPad as you go along. I believe it's $19.99. So it's another little tool that we were thinking of for that student. So we were going to, thank you for that, Jen. We were going to do the overview and think about co-instructing for our next 5 or 8 minutes together. Is that what you guys wanted to focus on today? So if you could give me, Lisa, the big ideas in like 1 minute, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not the details, but just the big idea. Then TJ, I would like to ask you maybe what role you think you might want to take in those big ideas this week.
All right.
Okay. Basically, overall, the big ideas is they are going to all come away with hopefully learning all 13 new vocabulary words for accommodations if they can get half of them down. We did the assessment again, and it worked really well, where they just had to know the one word. So that's worked very well. And we're going to really work with reading for understanding. We're in the part of the book where we have the rising action, so I have some activities, some tickets, some exit tickets that'll be in the shape of football, and they have to write down 3 points that occurred after reading. was coming up with an idea that we could go out, since it's called bleachers, we'll go out actually to the football field and read on the bleachers. I thought that would be fun. So that would be good.
And you don't
and
yet to do that?
no, we're good still.
Oh,
Hey, we're in the 80s. That's right. So those are the big ideas, and mainly reading this week. And and then the other one is for Wednesday that every group or every student in the group will come up with one unanswered question, and they're going to write it on one of the big pieces of paper. And then as it's answered throughout the novel, we can go ahead and put the chapter that it's on.
So 13 vocabulary, rising actions, reading in the bleachers, and then tell me the last one more time.
To come up with, each person in the group has to come up with one question they have that has not been answered, because we've really done a lot with predicting.
Good.
And so, I thought we'd write it down, and then we can kind of go through as we finish reading and decide has it been answered or not. Yeah.
Okay. So TJ, again, because you guys are a beginning team, we're already super impressed with how collaborative you are. So we thought we would push you today, now that Lisa shared the ideas of where you think you might need to target in what kinds of types. And do you think you need more station, more parallel, just more teaming, one lead, one support? What are your thoughts at this point?
I think a little parallel, a little more lead and support. I was going to go with the vocab, make sure they have 3 or 4 of them that they know really well, especially the lower kids. And then with the reading, especially with our ELL student and some of our lower readers, we're doing like more bullet points. And so I'll go over specific bullet points of, hey, this happened, then this happened, so they get the idea of what's going on in the story rather than trying to pick up the whole thing.
So it sounds like you're going to lead that, and Lisa, you're going to support that part. Is that what I'm hearing?
Uh-huh.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Perfect. And then on the bleacher reading, is there any way you could try a type you haven't tried? I'm trying to think. Have you tried every type of co-teaching so far?
Yeah, and I wasn't really sure what to do with that. I just thought, since we have a football field and it's football, that we should read outside. And we have to talk to one student who does have a visual issue, and to make sure, and I didn't know how, if he would be able to go outside if he wears sunglasses, because we'll read to them basically when we're outside. So I don't think that's a problem. I thought about, reading a little bit and then just doing some journal writing. So we could do that, but I just need to check with him because I want to make sure he can do it.
Got it. Yeah, that sounds important. I'm wondering about it being some kind of, you guys are a good team, but maybe, again, making it a team competition, that you guys go out and then maybe like tossing the football back and forth. I'm just making up some stuff, that this is, the questions for your team, and that they thought were unanswered questions, and then this, and throwing the football and saying, okay, not only do you have to catch the football, but you have to be ready to answer the question to get a point, or something like that. That would put it a little bit physical since you're already outside. Because I think sitting on the bleachers is good, but again, I respect the fact you got to really think through the student with a visual impairment. A really cool thing, and I don't know if you have it available, TJ, you're going to know this more than anybody, is normally you put like a beeper on a football for a kid with a visual impairment. If you have anything like that, it would be kind of cool if he's open to that, because then you could talk about differences and accommodations and kind of put that into the character and the story.
Okay.
That's a good idea. I thought about throwing a football too, so just
We'll
do
see it,
something
yeah.
fun.
Well, maybe we could even reenact, because we have quite a few football players in that class.
Oh,
There's a lot of football terminology, and they go through, they go back and relive some of those moments. So maybe we could kind of, act it out. Maybe
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Here's scene 1. Where would you be on the field? Oh, I'd be in the bleachers. I'd be on the field. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a fabulous idea. And with the 13 words, how could you maybe do those words that will be in a way that would be not paper pencil, but might be more physical?
Well, we just did win, lose, or draw, and they didn't want, we told them they could didn't we do that? Yeah, this last week.
Yeah, we did it with the last week.
The last week, yeah. All the weeks kind of just go together. But we did win, lose, or draw with the words, so they had to draw. And I think every single student.
Every single student drew.
Yeah.
So.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So
You're gone. a minute. Okay, we had two who were very reluctant, but after I told them that they would get extra credit if they were up there, they went ahead.
I love it.
You know, whatever.
Small bribes.
Absolutely.
2 points, so it's not like it really makes a difference. But they were excited then, so.
That's good. That is good. Because I'm wondering about something physical, being, show me the word. Because what I wanted to know is who, besides the one student we've talked about, is like, who's the lowest, and then do you have any students right now in our last 2 minutes that you think you aren't challenging? Those are the last kind of big idea I wanted for your co-instructing.
I'm
The
sure
lowest?
they're,
I'm sure there's pretty low. I've worked with them all, but not that I can't see any words on there that they wouldn't
Okay.
actually not know. They're words that they've probably seen, at least most of them they've seen somewhere, in their education.
And what about somebody, Lisa, that you think needs to be pushed a little harder, that isn't really being pushed?
yeah,
There's
they're,
about one or two. I
they're
think.
about 2 probably, so.
Describe what their gifts are that you could push them with.
Well, one has really been, she works really hard to help the other students in her group, so that's been really nice.
Mhm.
And she's kind of become a mentor with the ELL. So that's been really nice. But they tend to know the answers. I don't know that they're outstanding artists or anything like that, but their comprehension's really good. So maybe they could come up with, they might be able to come up with a comic to go with the...
Or if we're on the same page, it's the other one.
Yes,
She does a lot of other research,
okay.
and she does where she get on her phone or on Google and help research all the words for them and
Mhm.
try to use more synonyms and
Mhm.
stuff with our kids. So
Yeah.
again, more mentoring type.
Yeah, I'd say mentoring. They're really good at mentoring.
So one of the things you might think about for them, and again, this would be, so TJ is going to do a little bit more lead, Lisa. You might be able to do some alternative teach this week, where you might do something with both of them, and you're going to have them come up with stump the whole class or stump the teacher. They're going to come up with things they think even the both of you can't answer, and they could pose that. You might do a station one day and let them be in charge of the station with 3 vocabulary words and teach all the rest of the students. So I think you're kind of at that point in your team that I would start to be saying that we've kind of got the bottom covered. Can we make sure that we're really pushing these 2 students as a target to go even higher, because you do have 2 in the room? So it sounds like, TJ, you're doing a little more leading this week. Lisa, I'm going to challenge you to step back and look at those 2 students and say, now that I have a teeny bit more time, and I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes, what could I do with those 2 young ladies or young men in those 10 minutes to give them some differentiated instruction that would really, could they be the one who has to answer the questions? They're the team captain, and if no one else can answer, they get a half a point if their team captain can answer. So you're pushing them to be that highest person in the class without making them feel different, but differentiating what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
That
So
sounds good.
anything else you can think of? I'm being cognizant of your time.
Let's see. Yeah, this chapter it's long. It's probably the longest
It's
chapter,
definitely.
and then we just have 2 other chapters. So we're just trying to come up with ideas that are, because I don't want the reading to become boring. I think the kids are enjoying the book, but we're trying to make sure that
I think going outside is going to help break it up a little
I
bit.
think outside will help.
I think just doing maybe another spirit read where we separate it into 2 classrooms might help again. Just trying to mix it up.
We'll probably need to give, we did the vocab quiz, but after this chapter, we'll probably need to give some sort of quiz over what's going on in the book. So we'll probably need to think of some ideas for that. The test will be the brown bag at the end, but probably some sort of mid-read test, a midterm.
Let me summarize what I think I heard for this week. Then on Monday, TJ, you're leading more and Lisa's supporting more. Is that what I heard? And you'll differentiate. On Tuesday, then maybe do the parallel, because I heard you say that worked nicely for you. On Wednesday, I might do more traditional with Lisa leading. On Thursday, I would take them outside. And then you might see if Thursday goes so well, just spend Friday outside too.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Because we could spirit read outside. Huh?
Thursday's the day of rain.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We might need another.
We'll have to watch the weather, so.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that you see where that in that co-instructing model would make it so different every day that they
Right.
can't be stuck because they're not even sure who's in charge from Monday to Friday,
Right?
which I think is what you really want. You want them now to start to be confused who's in charge. So, all right. So next time we meet, what would you like to talk about?
Maybe assessment.
That's kind of what I was
Yeah, I think assessment over the next chapter would be good, so we
Okay,
can
got
figure
it.
out some.
Well, you come with what you have. If you have any documents, I can make it so you could share the document on the screen if you'd like. If you have any assessment that you're going to do, I could look at it with you. We can do that on here. You just say share your screen, and we'll talk that through, and I'll give you some ideas with assessment. Okay?
That sounds good.
All right. Lovely to see you guys. Thank you.